Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday. I can't think of a better project to talk about on a Generational Wealth Wednesday than Flare Networks. What's going on? That Flare community call dropped some major alpha, fam. It dropped some major alpha. I freaking love it. I love it. We're going to get into that call. I got three um time stamps, if you will, that I want to cover from this call. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Quantic, he was kind of like the host, ran it. He likes to be on time and on schedule, and so it was really, really good. It's about 50 something minutes. I listened to it again for a second time at the gym today. Highly recommend if you're into the ecosystem, be into the ecosystem and level up your knowledge about what's going on with Flare, the FLR token, and that ecosystem. It's really, really good. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. Mark is going cray right now. What's going on with Bitcoin? Bitcoin's at 111,000. What the world? What the world? Pookie says, I listened to it 3 times, CJ. LOL. This is someone who's serious about their investment. This is someone who understands. This is part of due diligence. This is part of doing your homework. You got to know that you know what you hold. My guy listened to it 3 times already. How about that? I got to catch up. I got to listen to it again. Got to catch up. You know what I'm saying? This is what it's about. I'm telling you some nuggets in that Flare Networks thing. Some nuggets. I saw Flare Forward and Steve from Flare Forward posted a couple of clips. We're going to talk about that stuff from that community call. We're going to talk about that as well. I got to get my protein shake in, you know. So we're going to get into it. It's nice to see BTC at 111,000. I'm curious as to why the market started pumping. Do you think it's because of the sentiment that they got from the call today from the banking committee? I think so. Call, what was it? What was it? A hearing from the hearing today? I think so. I think that was a signal to the world, to particular institutions, that we're moving forward with the digital asset space. I think that was a clear signal. We're moving forward with it. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was the BNY Mellon move that would cause the market. I think it was, you know, the kind of, what is the word I want to use? It was kind of the signal from that hearing. I think that's what it was. But we'll see. We'll see. It's great to see BTC at 111. It's cool. It's good. It's good to be up. It's good to be up in the portfolio. So that's always a good thing. All right, so we're going to get into this call really, really quick. The world is changing. Indeed, it is, my friend. Quick. Remember where it used to be a quick token, quick swap token? Remember that? I remember that. We're going to get into this call. We're going to get into some stuff. Man, I got to tell you right now, Pookie, this whole application and process for Flare for content creators. I'm looking at this application and this template, and I'm like, what? I'm a content creator. I just want to promote content. I want to obviously I do want to do meetups. I think that would be cool if we can find some Flare holders here locally, for sure. But all this, I'm a content creator. It's Crypto Siege YouTube channel. It's Crypto Siege on X. And I'm gonna do what I do, baby. I'm gonna do what I do, baby. Of course, I'll take PDFs and well, one of the main things that I really want to do is DeFi, right? You know how we got the Patreon for DeFi. I want to do DeFi, talk more DeFi on Flare. I just don't understand. I just people don't understand how blessed they are to be early in Flare's DeFi. Like, right? I think people don't understand that. You know, if you took a 10-year approach to this thing, boy, you would do really, really well. If you're able to take a 10-year approach to this thing, you would do really, really well. I mean, really, really well in the Flare ecosystem. If you took a 10-year approach. Boy, would you do well. Certainly 2 cycles. Certainly take a 2 cycle approach. Bear, a bull, bear, bull, bear. Take a 2 cycle approach. What's going on, Rachel? How are you, miss? Hi, CJ. It's been a while since I caught a live. Well, I appreciate you checking in, my friend. I appreciate you checking in. So let's get into this community call. There's no need to go to market. Again, Bitcoin's at 111,000, which means XRP is around 230 something cents. Ethereum's around 2,500. Swede's around $2.90. I mean, still ranging. It is still ranging, my friends. It's still ranging. Shout out to Blockchain Backer. Hope you're doing well, bro. But it's still ranging. It's still ranging. Let's get into this community call. Let me find it first, and then I will share it. I have it up here. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. That'd be really, really cool. It helps to get the channel out to more people who don't understand that Congress just sent a signal to the world that the United States is moving forward in the digital asset space and is about to come up with some legislation. It's coming. Steve, my guy Steve from Flare 4 says, Alpha has been dropped. Did you catch them? Yeah, I caught them, bro. I caught them. Let me do this. I think we can start here. We'll just start with this recording and get into this stuff. All right, so let me do that. Hope you're doing well, Steven. Hope you're doing well, bro. All right, so all right, so here it is here. Flare community call, June recap plus what's coming from Flare. It was interesting stuff. All right, Quantic did a really, really good job hosting. He's an interesting guy. He really is. Very, very interesting guy. At Scribe, Chain, FLR, Summarize. It didn't, oh, maybe it did summarize. Let me hit this and see what it says. Why is my Discord thing, I still beeping? All right, let me see if I can't get rid of that. Let me do, shoot, what do I want to move? I'm trying to move it without hitting something. All right, let's do that. Discord. Let me close that out. That beeping just drives me cray. It just drives me cray. All right. I don't know what happened to it. Scribe chain. There it is. It did do a little. The automated thing on Flare did a little summary. Interesting. Key points. The space focused on the recent Flare recap, specifically the 100 million XRP deal with Vivo Power Company. The conversation covered liquidity pools and how TEEs, trusted execution environments, can help with DeFi infrastructure. Talks about who the speakers were: Victor from Flare, Hugo, the Flare CEO, Thanos. I guess Quantic is Victor. Thanos, who's a part of it says R&D, but he's the DeFi guy, and Steve from Spartex all contributed to this detailed, I guess, research and development. Okay, and then some insightful conversation. Vivo Power shifted its corporate strategy to become an XRP treasury company, raising money to buy XRP and converting revenues from existing businesses into XRP. That's the word on the street. Regenerative loot. Vivo Power is building interesting that it highlights Vivo Power a few times here. Vivo Power is building a regenerative loop with XRP, Ripple L or RLUSD, and Flare DeFi strategies that can serve as a model for other asset managers and treasuries beyond crypto native players. And FXRP utility. The Flare incentive program is designed to boost XRP and will be managed responsibly to bootstrap the ecosystem. These FXRPs can be bridged over into DeFi protocols for lending, stablecoins, and more. All right, so that was Scribble Chain's AI thing summary. All right, let me get to this here. Do this recording. I'm gonna get to
Absolutely. So let's just tie in with the Hugo's disclaimer, how to make the most out of it, let's say. And then we're going to talk a also about ecosystem growth. Like I mentioned, we have the friends from Spartex today, and they have some interesting things to discuss with us about upcoming plans and exciting new developments. So I think that the purpose of this space is quite clear. I already asked you guys if you can retweet to reach as many people as possible. And also at the end, I have pre-selected a few questions from the community. So if you have been actively participating on Flare and still have some questions to do, I think we are going to be able to cover that. If not, you can always ask me after the space at the end or whatever. I'll try to do my best to reply to everyone. So let's move forward with the space. The first question is actually for Hugo. We're going to talk about the 100 million XRP deal with Vivo Power. I think this is a huge validation of Flare as the infrastructure for institutional grade DeFi, right? So then the first question would be, what does this really unlock for the sort of XRP vision going forward?
Absolutely. So let's just recap what that Vivo Power deal was. So for those of you that don't know what Vivo Power is, have been following that closely. It's the first XRP treasury company listed, I believe, in the US. They are a company that has asset and revenue generating businesses in a number of areas, particularly things like solar power. And they have been essentially pivoted their corporate strategy to become an XRP treasury company. That means they're raising money to buy XRP. I believe there's some idea around their revenues from their existing businesses being converted into XRP, but I believe that to clarify, but that's my understanding. In short, they are a company that is building something similar to a MicroStrategy, but for XRP. And one of the key and really important things that they want to be able to do is to be able to increase the amount of XRP held by that company over the long term. And there's a number of different ways to do that. And there's a number of different ways the markets have been creating to do that with regards to debt structures and things like that. But one of the things they approached us about was yield, being able to get a return on their XRP. As most of you know, XRP does not currently have any form of yield, and therefore, if they buy 100 XRP, that's all they've got. Whereas, yield has been a very sort of, a very extensively utilized strategy across the space, both in conventional staking with proof of stake, but increasingly more in terms of being able to put whatever assets you have to work managed by an external, effectively money manager who manages a vault on your behalf, and they take a fee for that. And so, yield is incredibly important. It's the lifeblood of all finance. And what we are trying to do with Flare is to create effectively a market and a yield market and uses for XRP, or essentially the third largest asset in the space. Of course, Tether might be slightly bigger than XRP, but XRP is the third largest pure crypto asset. And so Vivo approached us, and they liked the presentations we gave them. They liked the partners we've onboarded to create this yield market. And they committed 100 million to XRP to the XRP-Fi ecosystem on Flare. So that's a very large initial commitment from a listed company, and I think that really just gives us extensive validation of what we're doing. extensive validation. People we partner with to do this with, especially Firelight. For us, it's the first check-in being 100 million is a good number, but I don't expect it to stop there.
Yeah, so really, really good. And this is my second time taking notes, but the fact that they approached Hugo about what they were wanting to do with the XRP, and perhaps even they were, maybe thinking about doing something. But in any case, they approached Flare Networks and Hugo about hopping onto Flare. Flare thus then did a presentation and kind of did their job in sharing, if you will, a presentation. You could say it's a sales thing, but in any case, a presentation on who they're working with and why it would be beneficial for Vivo Power to take that 100 million XRP and bring it on to Flare. I'm sure that took a nice, well put together presentation to do that. We are talking about $100 million. It's no small thing, but I do like the fact that they talked about the partnerships as well as being a factor, because he mentioned that they liked who Flare Network has already onboarded to bring about this DeFi yield or this yield market for XRP. So the partnerships are speaking some volumes. Uh, and I think that is massively, massively important. Let me get to the chat and see who else might have checked in. Appreciate you guys being here. Do me a favor, guys, and hit the like button. That'd be really, really awesome. What's going on, Crypto Insomniac? How are you, my friend? Yeah, your volume on the clip, your volume low on the clip. Yeah, I don't understand. I keep getting that. So I don't know, because when I turn my microphone on, it gets high, and people say the volume is too high. Puka Puka says can't hear. So you can't hear. I may have to stop using this microphone. Hmm. Is everyone else agreeing with Pookie Pookie that trying to hear that spaces was low, was hard, it was really, really low? No, and I keep getting that volume low deal. So you can't turn anything up there. And I keep getting that. I'm hoping it's not the microphone. I don't think it's my mic. Let me see something. Hmm. Yeah, and this thing is turned up pretty loud too. It's turned up pretty loud. So you guys, it's pretty low for you guys as well? Rachel says yes, it's low. Hmm. I wonder if let me know. I'm gonna unplug my microphone because I've only been getting this. The videos that I play or spaces that I play is low. That's only happened after I started using this microphone. So I'm gonna try and unplug this microphone and play the spaces and see if that'll work. Guys, appreciate you guys checking in. Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. What's going on, Crawbillies? I missed you checking in, my friend. Hope all is well. Now, Crypto Insomniac says it's good on my end. So the Twitter Spaces volume, you could hear that playing fine, Crypto Insomniac. I want to make sure. Not my microphone, but the Twitter Spaces. I think that's what they were saying, that is low. So let me know about that. Pookie Pookie says you're fine, just the spaces, right? So in Crypto Insomniac, are you saying that the Twitter Spaces is fine, or is my volume on my microphone fine on your end? Just want to make sure before I start playing the next one. Crypto Insomniac, it was a little low, but I heard everything. Okay. Okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. Again, appreciate you guys checking in. Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. But yeah, those were my kind of takeaways from that part there. That Vivo Power actually approached them. But it's also important to note as well that Vivo Power does have a couple, three revenue sources in a business, right? So they are a business that is generating revenue. I think that's important. I don't know if they was the first XRP treasury company. I'm not sure, but Adam Tredman, hopefully he'll be a good deal there. But I think there's the former Ripple person that I'm most excited about because his specialty is in bringing big time value to shareholders and to shares of companies. So he's an ex Ripple person as well. So really really excited about that. After I heard that, that's why I decided to swap um, stock from Coin to Vivo Power. But we'll see. It's a risky play, but we'll see how it goes. All right, let me get back to the spaces here. I want to go to minute 15.
Structure, and this is certainly a huge problem to tackle. And so very interesting on how things are going to evolve with Flare from that point of view. And then when it comes to Firelight plus F assets, it seems to me that these are kind of the rails for this new institutional look. But then what's Flare's like kind of long-term role in shaping compliant and productive use of XRP?
Yeah, so of course, FXRP is the first step for that. In order to get a Firelight, you need FXRP. And I think, yes, Firelight and a number of the other applications on Flare, such as CTP stablecoin, will be the basis for, the first basis for putting XRP to work. Firelight it isn't going to be just a staking mechanism for ABSs. It's also going to be for institutions. It's going to be a set of financial products from insurance, from using XRP for liquidity against real world assets and charging a fee from vault strategies that can be optimized depending on risk levels. So Firelight's kind of like a kind of catch-all product with regards to how you put your XRP to work. And I think very likely in my mind to become really the core default yield engine for XRP, certainly for earn programs, and certainly for we all know that XRP is held by many institutions. That's been one of the core things of XRP, that it's been essentially distributed to many large institutions who are sitting with XRP on their balance sheet and not currently earning either very much or nothing at all. And Firelight really is the first serious institutionally focused product to be able to take in that XRP and do something useful with it.
Yeah, and the more I think about this, the more I think about ways in which Firelight can help stated XRP move like fluidly into DeFi, right? And I think that this is a great segue to ask to Thanos, actually our DeFi analyst, about actually this, like how will Firelight help this stated XRP move fluidly into like the different DeFi products?
So for the minute 15 timestamp, Hugo said some very, very, very interesting things. Number one, he talks about the CDP and stable coins, right? So collateral debt positions is going to be a big deal. He makes a point a couple of times to remind people that Firelight is not just going to be a staking thing for ABSs, right? It's going to serve multiple purposes, right? It's going to be used by institutions. It's going to have a set of financial products. It's going to have a set of financial products, right? One example he mentioned was vault strategy, but that's just one, right? So he calls it a catch-all product, right? So it's going to be an all-encompassing kind of one-stop shop. You can go there and do a lot of different things. But to understand, institutions are going to be looking to do things on this particular platform called Firelight for sure. Um, and I also think it's important to understand. I think a lot of people know about institutions holding XRP, but it's important to understand that the value, we're talking billions of dollars in XRP and not really being able to do anything with it or, kind of multiply it other than hold it, right? And so the institutions have been clamoring for something, yearning for something that they could do with their XRP. And, you know, some of these institutions are going to be doing it on Flare networks. And I think that is um, really, really big. And we'll never forget Hugo's post on X where he said, the foundation for XRP-Fi has kind of been cemented by a lot of institutions, right? So that foundation is there. So he's having these conversations with these institutions that hold significant amounts of XRP and they want to be able to earn some yield. They want to be able to do different strategies with this asset that they hold. And so, um, yeah, it's going to be a really, really big deal. Let me go to another. Um, let's listen to Thanos real quick, and then I'll go to another timestamp.
Was there meaning like lending, stable coins, LPing, maybe some other creative ways that you might be thinking of?
Yeah, for sure. So the way to think about Firelight, it really is kind of that first step or that first door that a lot of people think about when they think about XRP yield, effectively just staking. From there, you can then take, let's say, what's called an LST or a liquid staking token, and be able to functionally use that in DeFi. Can borrow against it, can lend it out. There's a lot of different primitives that we're currently looking at. One of which is like a collateral debt position. So effectively, you deposit XRP, can then borrow a stable coin against it, and you decide how much yield you want to pay or how much interest you want to pay, right? There's also things that you can do by LPing it into, let's say, Kinetic, which currently already exists, or let's say LPing into a Spartex pool, so you're providing liquidity for people that are swapping. Now, those are just a couple things that currently exist that users that are on-chain savvy can use.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to be on-chain savvy for that. So one of the things, let me get to the chat here. One of the things they talked about on this space is, yeah, I don't know what I can do, my friend. I got it all the way up. So what Joe was saying, the level on the Flare video was too low. Joe says I can't hear anything. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is I can do, my friend. Um, I got it all the way. I got it as high as it can go. Uh, Let me try it without the mic. Let me try it without the mic. Yeah, and just make sure, Joe, that you have your volume up as high as you can. Let me play a little part now. Pookie said, I heard just fine, Joe. So make sure you got your thing turned up, bro. But let me play a little part right here, see if you guys can hear. I'll let Thanos talk a little bit more. Let me do this. Wait a minute. All right. Wait a minute. Let me see something. Maybe that was the issue. Hold on. Hold on, Joe, buddy. That's not it. Where's the one? Hold on, give me a second. I think I might have found the problem. I think I might have found the problem. Put that microphone back in. Let me do this. Let me do this. Isn't that interesting? Let me do this. And let's listen to Thanos talk a little bit. But I do want to point out something here. A lot of what they're saying in this conversation is 45 minutes or about an hour in total, is that there's going to be institutions and then there's going to be people who are quote unquote savvy in DeFi, like retail, right? And that the institutions, they just want to, have their stuff in a wallet, put it somewhere, and then, they only want to do like 1.5 steps. Okay. Unlike, someone who enjoys DeFi like myself is not opposed to putting, minting some FXRP, staking some, getting a liquid staking token, going over to Kinetics, lending over there, borrowing some stable coins, right? Not or and is comfortable entering a liquidity pool in addition to doing the lending and borrowing and staking, right? So just understand that the institutions, and Hugo made a point of this, they just want a little, all right, like one step, like 1.5 steps. Okay, awesome. They don't want to be doing a bunch of other different things, right? So it's important to know that. But let me play this and see if this helped with the sound. I'm going to let Thanos continue talking.
That being said, as Hugo has mentioned before, not all people are super
Now,
on-chain
I don't
savvy,
hear
and
anything.
that's totally fine. And we've been speaking a lot about
What happened?
institutions.
I don't hear anything. Hmm. Pukias. Well, I'm not hearing in this video. Rachel said that was loud. Okay, good. I turn the volume down there. Can you guys hear me? I didn't hear the video. So just so you know, a video. I did not hear the audio. So let me try it again. Rachel said she could hear me and the spaces, but I couldn't hear the audio. So I couldn't hear the audio. So what's going on with that? Why would I not be able to hear?
uh, using Flare, right? But for us, it's not only about accessing institutional XRP, it's also about reaching those institutions that represent a lot of the people that hold XRP, right? So obviously, we have Uphold, has been one of the first announcements alongside Vivo Power. We're speaking to a lot of other institutions where there's people there's everyday people that hold XRP on those exchanges can opt in and earn yield from Flare and the products that we're building, right? So not only are we speaking to institutions, we're speaking to institutions that hold assets on behalf of retail and people that are using it every day. So there's a bunch of different angles that we're going, right? Ultimately, the core piece is delivering yield back to users that are holding XRP today. There's a variety of ways that you can do that. Firelight, kind of how I think about it, is that first stop for many people that want to set and forget. And then there's active strategies that you can run from there, right? So there's a few different active strategies that we've been thinking about that you could run. There's like synthetic longs that you can have to hedge the position and then like borrow against the XRP and then run some delta neutral positions. There's a bunch of different ways that you can run, let's say, financially engineered strategies that can deliver extra yield back, let's say, past Firelight?
Yeah, those kind of advanced stuff that he's talking about there. It's more advanced strategy, delta neutrals, and earning yield on your LP positions. Those are some advanced stuff. Earning yield. You can also leverage long liquidity pools as well, your LP tokens as well. But those are more advanced stuff. But okay, so the sound's fine. You guys can hear. Let me go to my next timestamp here. All right.
Is fully deployed on Flare, and people can see how these markets operate and the kind of opportunities. For sure, we will see other assets following. And then my next question goes to a very interesting news from Uphold that is exploring XRP staking via F assets. This is certainly very big, if you ask me. And then the question is, do you expect more exchanges to follow, right? And could F assets become the default yield engine that's powering XRP and programs across these different exchanges?
So I think there's an interesting parallel here, and just to caveat it, obviously nothing I say, is meant to be news. But we are talking with a number of other exchanges, very very large XRP holding exchanges, obviously, and those are very very positive. But what I think is a very interesting parallel is that when we launched Flare, the way we launched Flare was that effectively we each exchange needed to agree to distribute the Flare token in order to receive the Flare token, and this was based on how much XRP they held at the time. And what we found when we went through that process, and we kind of had a expectation that this might happen, but we didn't know how successful of a strategy it would be until we put it in place, was that we got that program started with a couple of smaller exchanges agreeing to distribute the token, and very quickly I got called up by larger and larger exchanges, effectively saying our clients who hold XRP are pinging us in social channels and various different places and saying, are we going to receive the Flare token? And we're finding that if we don't give them an answer, that they're moving their XRP to other exchanges. And I think that's going to be very very similar with being able to offer yield on XRP by an exchange. I think those exchanges that sign up and agree to effectively use Firelight and F assets through Flare, they will be net recipients of XRP from other exchanges. And so I think very quickly those other exchanges will follow suit.
So that's a really, really big deal. What is this essentially saying is there are going to be exchanges that hold XRP, and they're going to be able to get yield from doing it if they hop on Firelight, when they hop on Firelight. And, there's going to be exchanges that are not going to want to be able to not want to miss out on that. So remember, there's a very large amount of retail who prefers to trust Coinbase and trust these other places, who don't want to for yield and don't want to hop on a DApp, right? So unfortunately, but that could be the case, and more exchanges are going to want to offer that to their customers, right? So customers that hold XRP on their exchange, they're going to want to be offering these services. And in fact, if they hold, he says he's in conversations with a lot of exchanges who hold XRP and they're wanting to get some benefit from it, get some yield from it, other than just holding the asset. You want to be able to get some yield from it as well. So I think more and more exchanges, not just like what Uphold is saying that they're going to do, other exchanges are going to begin to just fall in line, if you will, right? They don't want to be kind of left behind and offering services that their competition, another exchange, might be offering. So I think that's going to be massive in a lot of ways. All right, let me get to another timestamp that I want. This one is probably the longest one that I'll let play here. Let's see here. And I'm gonna let me put the link to this right now in the chat for you guys so you can have it. Highly recommend you do your homework on what you hold, do your due diligence on what you hold. Part of that for sure is hopping on these spaces and do like my guy Pookie Pookie who's listened to this 3 times already.
Testing, community feedback. We went through Songbird. F assets are certainly entering their final sort of rollout stages. So the big question that everybody's probably asking here is, what's the latest update on F assets and FXRP in particular?
Absolutely. So obviously I never give like firm dates, but you know we've always taken a very, very security conscious view. I mean, we even launched a whole bloody other network called Songbird to test all of our protocols, and you know that's why it exists. It's kind of always shocking when you hit something that you know you think has very, very strong indications of product market fit. You know, as we've started talking to these very, very large institutional players that are sitting on, you know, literally billions and billions of dollars worth of XRP, we've been working through, you know, with them how to, you know, make sure that they're comfortable. And so one of the things we have done with FXRP is, you know, we've used two separate auditors for the FXRP contract, and we've essentially just waiting for the last audit to come back. The team have been working with the auditors sort of daily, just answering any questions, making sure that the understanding of the contract and how it works is perfect, and just looking for that perfect audit from a very, very well-known auditor, as that will make our job when it comes to onboarding these very, very large institutions endlessly easier. So just waiting for that, and then as soon as that comes back, we will launch F assets.
Awesome. Yeah, I think
So that's a couple of notes there for me, for sure. Again, we're working with institutions who hold billions and billions of dollars, multiple billions of dollars of XRP. And we've been working with them to make them feel more comfortable about hopping on Flare and, you know, using Firelight, et cetera, et cetera. So massively important. So this is why, you know, the excessive, if you want to call it that, but this is why the extended audits. This is why the multiple audits. It's important. It's massively important. So I get sometimes that people want things sooner rather than later, but this is one of these things that, you know, they want to have these institutions with billions of dollars. They want to give them as many assurances as that they possibly can. And this is what we want as well. We want those same assurances with our assets as well, even though we're stacking our pennies up against their dollars, right? We want those assurances as well. So these people who want to launch yesterday, be careful what you're asking for, right? Hugely important. All right, let's continue to listen.
that you know, everybody has been waiting for this, myself included. There's been a lot of excitement, some people getting a little bit frustrated, and I kind of understand, right? We all want to see it go live as soon as possible, but think about this, and this is for a message for the community. Most of the time when you launch something, you in crypto, you have absolutely no idea about product market fit. In our case, it's kind of different because we actually know that it's a very, very strong demand, and we have tested this on Songbird for F asset. So the most important thing for us should be always security and that the launch goes as flawlessly as possible, right? So, Hugo, since I'm asking about when, let me follow up with the following question, which is when can users start taking action through Firelight, whatever this means?
So they can sign up for Firelight pretty soon. Signing up for Firelight I don't want to talk for Firelight, but signing up for Firelight should give you an initial allocation. I expect the allocations to go extremely quickly. And so, that's why you would sign up. And obviously, the earlier you are into a protocol, especially Firelight, the more likely that you will get better rewards. I know that Firelight will be rolling out in phases, having a cap to start with, and then raising that cap, just as we will be doing with the F assets. And so, I think the way the economics work, I'm sure they'll release a full economics paper. But the way the economics work is, if you're in an earlier stage, you'll get a better, return. So that's Firelight. I believe their waitlist is opening up very, very soon. They've put their information out about that. Just follow their Twitter handle.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in the space, make sure to follow Firelight for the next good news. I think it's just a couple of days.
So let me get to the chat here real quick. So Firelight, they're posting on X. They're kind of keeping people up to date about what it is they're doing and what they want to do. And signing up is going to be important. I know I'm going to sign up day one for sure personally, because I've said this once, I'll say it again. For me and my XRP for DeFi, I will be participating in Flare Networks. So really looking forward to doing more things with Firelight and obviously Spartex as well. Spartex is on this call also. So just let you know, there's going to be some allocation. I don't know what allocation of what for signing up and signing up early. I don't know what the allocation is going to be of what, but Firelight to me feels like it's going to be it has the opportunity or the chance to be a really, really big deal in this Flare ecosystem. And I just hope people don't understand, don't forget that Hugo said F assets is probably going to be the least significant thing that happens on Flare networks. Think about that. It's probably going to be the least significant thing on Flare networks. That's what Hugo said. So just understand that. So I hope you guys are following Firelight. I responded. I remember one time I said, who's going to be the Aave or the Maker or the Uniswap on Flare networks? And Firelight responded and said, yeah, I think we are. Something along those lines. So it's going to be a pretty big deal, I think. All right, let me continue sharing. I think this is why when people do their live streams, they wear headphones or earbuds. I think I understand why now. All right, so let me get back to it.
And now I think it's a good time to talk a little bit more about DeFi on Flare and Spartex, right? Today we have both of the co-founders of Spartex with us, and we really want to discuss some of the upcoming news on their end. For those who are not aware, over the weekend, Flare's TVL hit 220 million for the first time. I think we're around there right now. Not sure. I need to refresh the TVL page, but it is certainly a huge driver of the growth in the Flare DeFi ecosystem. Spartex is one of the leading protocols, right? Just crossed about 4 billion in trading volume. And of course, that makes it like the leading DEX on Flare. So then the first question, of course, you guys can introduce yourself, but also tells us a little bit more about Spartex growth, because it has been very fast. I want to know, like, what's kind of the secret sauce, and how do you plan to keep that momentum now that you're gonna have like this IDO after the IDO?
Hey guys, Alexi here, so co-founder along with Steve for Spartex. Yeah, it's definitely been fantastic growth with great support as well from the Flair team and community. So a huge shout out to all of you. Look, I mean, obviously sustaining the growth, we've got quite an interesting roadmap and quite a few new products in the pipeline that will be coming out. Obviously, one of the things I believe will help with the growth will be incentives as well from the new token launch, which is pretty exciting and coming up fairly soon. Don't want to speak too much about that. But yeah, look, on the roadmap, some of the things that I find fascinating, I think are super interesting, and as actually Thanos had mentioned before, is club dexes. So for those that don't know, a club dex is a central limit order book dex. These are the normal exchange trading systems that you find on centralized exchanges. That's something that we're actually, it's further down the roadmap, but that's something that we're actually looking to bring on chain. Before that, though, one of the new products that we'll be introducing in the coming months will be a, look, what I'm going to refer.
That was him. He cut out, so don't worry. He'll be back.
Seems that we
Liquidity
lost Alex.
model. So what was that?
Oh, sorry. At least on my end, I kind of lose the signal for one moment.
Yes, you was
Yeah, we
gone.
lost
You
you.
was gone, Alexi.
Okay, where did I cut out, guys? I want to make sure that I was hearing everything. Can you guys hear me? Or bad
Now,
connection on my
yes,
end?
yes,
We
now,
can
yes.
hear you. We can hear you.
Awesome. So yeah, I was mentioning that obviously central limit order book DEX is something further down the roadmap that we'll be looking to bring on chain. This is the most efficient way of trading. Essentially, that's what all centralized exchanges and TradFi exchanges use. Before that, what we're looking to bring first is a newer version of a concentrated liquidity DEX. So very similar to the concentrated liquidity DEX, the Uni V3 fork that we have. We have our own version, essentially, of the V4, which is same thing as the concentrated liquidity DEX, but with hook functionality plugins. And what this essentially will allow builders to do is so people can come, build out some plugins, build out a hook, and allow for even more efficient liquidity. Imagine, as an example here, to kind of keep it simple. Imagine you have built out a hook that you deploy liquidity into, and the out of range liquidity that is being inefficient and isn't being utilized on the DEX could be deployed into a lending market, let's say, such as Kinetic. So you're earning a yield on the.
So that's an interesting point. So entering the liquidity pool, maybe get out of range of the liquidity pool and you don't notice it right away. You don't have any notifications, text message or otherwise that you're out of range. They're looking with this newer version, which is very similar to kind of like a V4 version from Uniswap, to allow for that pool while it's out of range, I guess, if you will, to be able to go other places and earn some yield. So that will significantly help with rewards and with and permanent loss. Now, this is something that they're looking to do and looking that they're hoping that they're going to be able to do. But we'll see if they're able to pull something like that off. We'll have to see. But that is a very novel idea, I can tell you that. Imagine still being able to earn some type of rewards or yield when your liquidity pool is out of range. That would be massive if they could pull that off. So we'll see what that's going to look like. If they're able to pull that off, I think that could be massive. You guys know you've been tuned into this channel. I've been a huge fan of Spartex from the beginning. I thought that their UI, UX, and their experience, and from being a very early DEX, was really, really good. They are doing a token launch. They're doing an IDO for their Spark token. I will be, figuring out a way to participate in that. I don't know if that's going to be a non-US thing or not. Most likely it will not be a US thing, or it will be a non-US thing. So, but we'll see how that is going to go. But I said it earlier when they first launched that, if you can get to these ecosystems you can get to dApps that are on a next level layer one blockchain like Flare Network. So if you have an opportunity to participate in the dApps that are on a next level layer one blockchain like Flare Networks, you know, there's opportunities there, and Spartex is sharing one, in my view, one of those opportunities in their token. The LP's positions obviously are great and their perps and stuff like that are great for DeFi. But these dexes that tend to have a token, they can kind of build a community within a community, very, very similar to Jupiter on Solana. They can be beneficial. They can be beneficial. So just understand that. What's going on, small business doctors? What's good, my guy? Hope you're well. Hope business is well in the real estate world. Brother Crypto's in the building. What's going on, bro? Maybe a wrap for this meme coin thing. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't think so. Certainly not this with this administration, but um, and sometimes stuff just kind of, comes to an end, you know what I mean? Sometimes stuff just comes to an end. Or they may, kind of put it in a kind of different place where they may put it in a category where the pump and dump memes has zero shot. It doesn't mean that Pepe or Bonk or Doge with billion-dollar market caps won't be able to stay around, hang around, and adjust and whatever and pivot, you know. But those pump and dumps, not so much, you know. And perhaps that is a good thing. Perhaps that is a good thing. You know what I mean? Bonk is doing a lot of interesting stuff to make themselves more than just a meme. I think they're even coming out with their own chain or something, but that's another thing. I don't own any bonk, but crazy, crazy, crazy. What's going on, Rafi? Hey, CJ. Apparently, we are getting a midnight airdrop as XRP holders soon from the Cardano team. That is correct, and I think they've already taken a snapshot. 99% of my stuff is already deployed, so I won't be benefiting from that because you will have to it has to be in your own wallet, your non-custodial wallet, right? So if it's in a DeFi position somewhere, you'll miss out on that. So I'm gonna miss out on that. I'm sure they already took the snapshot. But yeah, that is true. That's what I heard. Jungle Inc. talked about it as well. Is it the night token? I think it's a night token or something along those lines like that. So it's interesting. That approach is interesting for sure. So we'll see how it goes. But that is true, Rafi. That is what I heard. That is the rumor on the streets. All right, so let me get to sharing some more of this from this call with Flare. It's almost over.
Liquidity that isn't being efficiently used in your LP position. So that's one example of what you can do with these book functionalities. So that's one thing that we'll have coming shortly. Obviously, look, we've got the Launchpad coming to help support the growth of the entire Flare ecosystem as well. Some other really exciting things that I'm looking forward to as well, which I believe will help continue the growth of Spartex on Flare, is we'll be releasing a strategy hub shortly. So this is in partnership with a product called Spartex, and essentially what this will be is a one-click way for people to essentially just generate a yield on their assets. So imagining depositing XRP or any type of asset or ETH or a stable coin in a one-click way into a vault and earning a yield on it. On the back end, it'll be deploying delta neutral strategies. And there's also an interesting part to that where Spartex will be offering insurance vaults as well. And through these insurance vaults, you can take out insurance on a variety, through obviously governance with our token when that's launched. We'll do governance for as to what products and protocols we want to offer insurance for as well. So I think these are some of the things, essentially just innovation. So continuing to.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be interested in that for sure, because there's just some people are not wanting to learn about DeFi, and they're also going to want, to let others kind of do it for them. And hey, to each their own, it's their assets. And so being able to put it in a vault or being able to see some different strategies, and all you need to do is hold FXRP, and you deposit the FXRP, and it goes out, and they'll go out and do different strategies for you for a fee. Of course, people are going to be interested in that. They're going to be people that are going to be interested in that. What I see with Spartex is taking a very, very similar approach to Jupiter, and Jupiter DAO, the Jupiter Exchange. I see it very, very similar. I just kind of see it kind of playing out that same way as well. And if you watch Jupiter and the Jupiter Exchange, and what they've done is a community within the Solana community, and I think Spartex is going to do the same thing. I think there are huge benefits to being early and holding the token, and especially if you have a long-term vision. I forget what they call that. Simon Dixon used to talk about it all the time. I can't remember what they call that, but you got a long-term view, you got a long-term vision. You're not in a hurry to get rich quick. You see it, a bigger picture, right? I forget what is that called? I forget what it's called. But that's kind of what I see. We'll see with Spartex. And again, I'm going to say this again, that if you're able to go all in on an ecosystem. What do I mean by going all in? Like, you're immersed in the ecosystem. That's Flare Networks, for example. You're familiar with Kinetic. You're familiar with Hypnosis Global. Perhaps you have some assets deployed there. You're familiar with Spartex, and you have assets there. You're familiar with Firelight, and you're participating there. Maybe you're on a Discord or two. Kind of going. You hold FLR tokens, so perhaps you hold Songbird tokens as well. Perhaps you get involved in the IDO of Spartex. You're all in an ecosystem. It can be hugely beneficial. It can be hugely beneficial if that ecosystem is building on a next level layer one blockchain. Now, Ethereum had the benefit of being early and being kind of like the first smart contract blockchain. I just want you to understand, Solana has already passed them in terms of builders building on Solana, right? Solana's in their own lane doing their own different kind of thing. But Solana doesn't have a lot of the enshrined native stuff that Flare Networks has and is continuing to build out. I think that's important to understand. Solana's doing a very, very unique thing. And I love the Solana ecosystem for sure. For me, I say, imagine if Camino Finance or Drift Protocol had the data that Flare could provide. They would be pretty cool. And probably more efficient. Not that Camino isn't already efficient. Not that Margin Fi on Solana is not already efficient, but having these enshrined protocols on this layer one, I think it's a big difference maker. It's not financial advice. Surely don't go out and get involved in the Flare ecosystem or get FLR tokens because I'm saying anything. I'm just kind of sharing how I see where things are going. So what's going on, Keyless? How are you? Appreciate you checking in. A Lady of Crypto is here. So that's kind of how I see things there. with Flare. Having this opportunity, we're so blessed to be early. We're so blessed to, you know, we're early to what I believe. I believe Flare Networks is the promise of what Ethereum hoped to be. That's kind of what I see with Flare Networks, and I think institutions see it, and I think builders see it. But still in a 10% bucket, right? Right. Still in a 10% bucket. Until they continue to push more and more stuff out. For me, in the crypto sieges home is in the 10% bucket. In other words, if I had $1,000, 900 goes into Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana, or a combination thereof. Maybe the whole $900 goes into XRP. Maybe it goes 450 into Ethereum, 450 into XRP. You see, you get my point. And then the $100 goes into FLR. Right? Because it still has to prove itself out as a chain, gain network adoption, onboard more and more people, grow its ecosystem. But it's off to an awesome start, I think. Uh, So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's kind of how I see it. That's kind of my play. But in anything, allocating appropriately is still hugely, hugely important. We don't want to, in our home, in the crypto Caesar's home, we don't want to chase the game. We want the game to come to us. We want the chain the project, and the chain to continue to deliver on his promises, to continue to deliver on his promises, to continue to deliver on his promise and gain network adoption. Right? More and more people hopping on the chain, more and more builders building on the chain, more and more wallets, growing the TVL, bringing DeFi, useful DeFi projects on chain, right? I love this new incentive, small business doctor. I love this new incentive where they're incentivizing people participating in FSS. Love it. Absolutely love that. And so whether that be, I don't know, was that going to be just holding USDT zero or if being in a liquidity pair with USDT zero. I don't know if this is going to just be minting FF assets or minting FXRP. But participating in that I think is huge, and being rewarded for participating to grow the ecosystem. I love it, love it, love it, because I think active participation is the name of the game. And I think being rewarded for that is really, really good. And for those who don't, who you kind of feel like their XRP is too valuable for that, then that's kind of what it is, right? So we always talk about proper allocation anyway. I'm not sure why anyone would be 100% in a liquidity pair with their asset. Right? I'm not sure why anyone would do that. Like if you got 1,000 XRP, I don't know why you would be have all 1,000 of XRP in liquidity pair. That doesn't make sense for sure. But proper allocation can do a lot of things. Small business doctor says me too. Right? So I'm really, really excited about that. Again, you get to level up your skill set in DeFi, and you get rewarded for actively participating. And I think that is it's like a collective community effort. Because by us participating, we're saying we're believing in this ecosystem and we want to help to see it grow. Some people want to just kind of sit back and just let it grow and be the benefit of that growth. And I love that Flare Networks and the team says, no, no, no. We're looking for active participants, right? And so I think that is really, 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 really good. So what's going on, Legendary? I miss you checking in, brother. How are you? Hope you're doing well, my friend. So again, let me get that link for this for the spaces for you guys again. Let me put this in the chat. Highly recommend you watch it. It was nicely done. It just flew by. But the 56 minutes, 58 minutes, whatever it was, just flew by. Highly recommend you level up so that you do continue to do due diligence on this ecosystem so that you know what you hold. It is not about the price. It's about the value and the protocol. That is the key. Help people understand that and being able to use your asset and have an asset that you own be recognized as valuable. You got assets that you can't lend against. You understand? You got assets that you can't participate in DeFi in. It's not as valuable as other assets where they can participate in DeFi and they can borrow against those assets, regardless of the price, right? Regardless of the price. So, being able to participate now is really, really good. And being recognized that you hold a valuable asset and you ain't got to prove yourself and the value to someone else. It's being recognized and we can all participate. DeFi is about all of us saying, it's about each of us needing all of us and all of us needing each of us. If you get that, if you understand that, I'm not sure why you wouldn't take a percentage of your portfolio, 1%, 0.5%, and be a liquidity provider. You understand? It's hard to have lending protocols without liquidity providers. And lending protocols where you hold this asset, you exchange your time for dollars, and you bought an asset that you feel is valuable, and now you want to be lend against it without going through an interview process. In order for that kind of stuff to happen, liquidity providers are crucial. Liquidity providers are, look, Uniswap would not exist without liquidity providers, right? No credit checks, none of this nonsense of freaking accredited investor stuff. That's each of us need all of us, and all of us need each of us. If you're tired of that system, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not tired of that system that says, come in here, come here with two. There's a here with though, here with two. Come here and share with me why I should let you borrow my money. Explain to me. You got 30 seconds. Go. I mean, maybe you're not tired of that. And by the way, your TransUnion is not quite up to standard. You Experian and Equifax, yeah, they're okay, but your TransUnion just not quite up to our standard. The nonsense is cray cray. All right, fam. Thanks so much for hanging out. Do me a favor, if you didn't hit that like button on the way in, please do so on the way out. That'd be really, really cool. It helps to get the channel out to more people who don't know about this new financial system being built. Didn't even know that there was a major hearing today about a new financial asset class moving forward, and we're about to get some legislation. They don't know. They have no idea. And by hitting that like button, it's a way to get the channel out so more people will know. But by the way, if you happen to be in that 55% or so of people that are hanging out, listening to and watching the Crypto Siege, do me a favor. If you've been enjoying those hangouts, please consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. I'm going to end this one like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this, or perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.